Well,
Yep.
that being said, cheers.
And they have home court advantage too. The Celtics.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, let's take the Heat versus the home court advantage. Sorry, we're talking basketball before we took a shot.
Oh, I went before you. I'll do another one.
Knew it.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Best of 5 podcast featuring myself.
And myself.
And myself.
That's Paul.
And that's Paul.
Paul Noffsinger's with us again.
The first back-to-back three-peat.
Oh, am I the first three-peater?
Three-peater, yeah.
Yeah, you got three-peater. What Jokic should have been.
Thanks. I love you guys. Thanks for having me back.
You're the...
I do a lot of podcasts. I was telling a friend this morning, I do a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of magic podcasts, a lot of paranormal podcasts, and this one is still absolutely my favorite one I ever do.
Yay, look at that.
It was dangerous. The first one we did in my
your basement, yeah.
I totally forgot that we were even being recorded. It was just like talking with buddies because I love you guys. You guys are my pals, and it was just and I if you go back and watch that one, I said some things I probably shouldn't have said.
Yeah, I mean,
because I forgot I had headphones on and there was a recording in front of me. But
yeah, because that was in the middle of our transition from studio to studio. So, and we were doing like a lot of like remotes. Remotes. And yeah, your basement was probably one of the most fun ones to set up.
Was a lot of
but
fun.
It was so stressful because like we couldn't get it like the angles right, anything set up right. But then once we got it, I'm like, yes.
Well, and then I did a series. I did a series of the mystery collection conversations out of there, and I was supposed to have you guys on, and then my kid got COVID.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah,
my kid got COVID, and then all of a sudden I started traveling, and shows started opening up. So I'm going to get that thing started here again this summer.
No, it's fine.
Heck yeah,
it's fine.
Well, G told me that there's a rule that if I cancel on you guys, we have to get drunk.
Yeah, I guess that's a rule.
So I guess it's a rule now.
G's openly admitted on this podcast that he's drinking less, but that has not happened
I'll
yet.
tell you, I've lost 50 pounds. I've lost 50 pounds since November.
Yeah, I was like, you're looking good, man.
Yeah,
I was going to say that. Yeah.
And I have really cut down on my drinking, so we're going to see how this whiskey does for me
not today, baby.
Not
today. Not today.
Hey, real quick before we get started, just wanted to give a cute shout out to Paul. Paul, you're fucking awesome for one.
Thanks.
And two, Paul is going to be actually at the Stanley Hotel doing some magical performances. And when I say magical, not only is he going to be doing some magic shit, but it's going to be magical as fuck.
Yes.
It's going to be a wonderful morning. June 24th through June 28th at the Stanley Hotel.
Yep.
With Paul Prater, right?
Yep, with my buddy Paul Prater, who's
the Pauls. Yeah, you talked about that on our podcast.
You've met Prater at that place in Windsor. He lives in Little Rock, Arkansas, and we've been doing shows together. We had a tour. Actually, we had a tour that was supposed to kick off on March 22nd, 2020.
Yeah. Nice.
And what happened?
That didn't.
Well, I don't know.
I don't remember.
I was drunk for like 3 years straight.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Bunch of fake news. but Paul and I've got this is really a big deal. This is it
is, man. Yeah.
This is a venue for the kind of magic I do. This is kind of like a cellist playing Carnegie Hall. This really is a big deal. And,
that's awesome.
I'm very excited about it. So, yes, 6 shows in 5 days. And then we're going to do the week before Halloween as well. We're going to be up there again the week before Halloween.
We might have to try to do that one because, honestly, we want to go to your show. Like I would love to go there, but unfortunately, we're going to be at the Stampede.
It's the Stampede,
we're at
the Stampede. So,
well, you guys, when I get the October date set, you let me know, and we get a handful of comps for the show. So you guys come up.
Let's go.
All right, well, let's get this started because fuck this.
What you can do is come up and bring the stuff up, do the remote, and have Prater and I before we go on the show.
We can definitely do that.
Set it up in the theater at the Stanley.
You guys want to do a live stream before the show?
Absolutely.
Okay, man.
Yeah, we could do that, man.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, take it easy. Let's take it.
All right, let's move on.
All right,
First round.
Here we go.
Round 1.
All right. Thank you, Paul, again for joining us. I hope you have fun today. Thank you for refilling your whiskey on the break. For those who have not seen us, the podcast is pretty basic. Basically, every subject that we pull out, we take a piece of clothing off until we're naked.
Right.
So we're going to be drunk and naked the entire time.
Did we change that format? Because last time I was on the podcast, we just pulled a random topic out of a hat that us, the guests, and the viewers all contribute to. And then we do that for 5 rounds. And then literally complain about it for 7 minutes. Are we getting naked now? Because I missed that memo.
No, we should get
Am
naked.
I in the right place?
Oh no, this is not a best of nude. Gotcha.
All right.
It's our other. It's our only tacos.
Only taco fans. Yeah. So pretty much, we have 5 subjects. We pull out of the hat, so we don't know what the subject is until we pull out of the hat, and we talk about it for 7 minutes. But the last subject, because we have Paul, will be for 10.
All right.
And he knows what the subject is. We don't.
Yes. And I'm a talker.
Yeah,
if you remember right.
It's going to be more than 7 minutes. You guys, just a heads up. We're going to be here for 3 hours.
All right,
so we're here for it.
All right. What is the first?
Paul, what's the first?
The first question is: if you could live in any other country, where would it be?
Ooh, okay.
Does Narnia count?
That's
Sure.
not a country.
Hogwarts.
That's in the UK.
Isn't Hogwarts a school?
Yeah, but it's also in like England, I'm assuming, because they all have those little pompous accents.
Yeah, they do. The polite rudeness.
I guess if I would live in any other country,
Not Florida.
that's definitely a country.
You got the first part right.
Yeah, I would probably go Ireland or Australia.
Okay. Why Ireland?
Ireland, I don't know, man. I've just been like, I guess Ireland or Scotland. I would like those two are kind of interchangeable for me. It's because like,
Don't say that to a Scottishman, man.
Right. Yeah.
but no. I mean, it's like my
They're the same. They're white and cold.
well
And green.
how my level of wanting to visit or live there are the same.
Gotcha.
But yeah, because they all still have the seasons. So if I go live in Australia, for example, there's not as hardcore of seasons. Like, yeah, they have snowboarding mountains you can go on, but like they're probably not great.
They're hills.
I can't imagine them being great. But yeah, so you still see snow, still get all of that, and like it's still my family kind of heritage comes from both of those places. So it'd still be fun to like just reconnect to my heritage in Ireland or Scotland.
One of my best friends in the world is,
And I love whiskey, so
is from Ireland. He lives in Ireland, and he has a house in Scotland. And I've gone out a couple times and visited him out in Ireland, and we've driven through Scotland. It's very fun. I don't know that I'd live there, but it'd be fun.
yeah.
I would definitely have like a home in Ireland, like a vacation home,
Okay.
or like a timeshare that actually was a good.
See, if I were to have a
Probably not
vacation
timeshare,
home,
but-
I'd go somewhere like Australia where it's just hot all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Where I
Ireland's,
can go in winter and it's
Ireland's wonderful, man. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy to look at their history and be like, y'all were violent as fuck because they're so nice. Like they're really nice.
I mean,
people
they're
and, like,
still kind of violent as fuck.
Well, in Northern Ireland, we stayed at a place and they kept referring to it before the Troubles, and I thought that was such a cool way of saying separating the time when before the Troubles.
Yeah, yeah. They really do have like a cool way of talking. Why Australia though?
Because the accent just gets me going, dude.
Oh yeah.
Crocodile.
And also,
Chris Hemsworth, he just fucking
also, man, there's 100% higher chance that I'll see Margot Robbie or Chris Hemsworth. Even Mr.
do-
Wolverine Man himself.
They do make some good looking people.
Well, Nicole Kidman's Australian.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
isn't she?
Yeah, I don't count that. She's married to Keith Urban, who's also Australian, but he plays
country
country
singer?
music, so I
They
don't
look
give a
like
fuck.
they look so plastic now. It's insane.
Yeah, even though Keith Urban's a fantastic guitar player.
He's
For
Australian,
country.
though. He plays it backwards though
Sure.
because he's Australian.
He plays it upside
Oh, no, he
down.
plays it upside down.
Yeah,
There,
nice,
okay,
nice.
that's the joke. That's the joke.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice,
yeah.
nice. All
How
right.
about yourself, Paul?
I think probably UK. I think England, maybe London or the area. I've been there.
It just seems like it's too rainy.
Well, I could live in. I mean, I like it. I've been there probably 3 or 4 times, and every time I go, I find a new thing. I really liked London a lot. I got real accustomed to it, and I don't know. It's just it's different enough, but it's not a complete culture shock that I
Yeah, like shit's weird.
The
It's
only
like
bad
so,
thing about England is that the food fucking sucks.
Well, I'll tell you what. The best Indian food I've ever had in my entire life was in London.
That actually makes so much
I mean,
sense.
it's kind of the. I mean, you could argue New York City, but I think London is probably the capital of the world. I mean, if you had to pick a city that was the most diverse and mixed, I would say it's probably London, but mainly because of how long it's been populated like that.
And they also say that London has the best cuisine.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I mean, if you're just someone like me who can't afford to go to a really nice restaurant, you just go to the side and you're just like, oh fuck, this is a hot dog.
I'll tell you the Indian food that we had was I mean, Chili's level like nice.
Bro, when I went, I stayed in Manchester and I stayed in London, and I decided, my dumbass decided to go get a fucking Mexican food. Because I said, fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
I said,
I mean, I would
why
too.
not?
I would too.
I
I'd fuck around and find out too.
I'm like, I want to see what like across the pond tastes like from Mexican food, and it was so fucking bland and awful. And I was like, fuck it, they got hot sauce, let's do it. Shit was just vinegar. It was so bad. It was just vinegar. That's all it was.
Yeah. Apparently, there's a really good, like American style Kansas City barbecue in London.
Well, it's on the Ted Lasso. Remember, he goes to that.
Oh yeah, he was in Amsterdam.
Was in Amsterdam, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like they had different rooms for different cities or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, the best food I had in London was actually avocado toast. I was like, oh, this is really fucking good. I'm like,
That's
okay,
weird.
yeah, I know, right?
Did you do that after yoga before your hot works?
Oh no, dude, I did after my hangover, man.
Right.
Right before he went to CrossFit.
Yeah.
I actually was looking for a gym. I was too scared to go to a gym. I'm like, I'm gonna look like a bloke here. I'm good.
Yeah.
A bloke.
Yes.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah.
I will say that I came back from London speaking more of their slang.
Dude, this fucking guy, like, since he's been to
This
London,
fucking bloke right here, yeah.
this guy, ever since he came back to London, every time he talks to, like, a female, no, it's a female specifically, he's like, oh, thanks, love, cheers.
I love,
and I'm like,
do you say things are brilliant?
Up.
Oh, brilliant.
No, he does. You've said it before.
Yeah.
No, so when I'm watching soccer, I'll say rubbish all the time. That's like because I love it.
Yeah.
Like soccer lingo is my favorite when it comes to English. So yeah, I will call women love because I just don't want to like unassuming.
He doesn't remember their name.
That, but I also don't want to assume gender, and I think that saying love is the most intimate way to say like something like that. So hey, love, how's it going? Like I just think I like it. I took that away from them. I will fight for that. I don't give a shit. The other one I do is cheers. I say cheers instead of saying bye.
Cheers all the time. He's like, oh yeah, cheers. But like it doesn't make sense contextually.
Yeah, cheers.
And everyone's like,
I love it.
Yeah, well,
I'll take it.
Yeah, that's
like we had a meeting this morning. You said cheers to somebody, and she's like, yeah, okay, bye.
yeah. What you got? Whiskey
I like their politeness, but their history kind of sucks.
Well, I'll tell you, and how much time we got? Do I got time for?
We got plenty of time about it.
So the last time I was there,
where I want to live, but it's fine.
We spent a full day at the British Museum, and that was kind of
free.
well, it is. But it was there was kind of a about 6 or 7 years before we went to Greece and went to the Acropolis, and they have the big statues, and they tell us that one's not real. That's a reproduction because the real one is in the British Museum.
Oh,
and it's like, well, that kind of sucks, you know. I mean, but on the other hand, having that shit that was completely stolen from the British in the British Museum, but it also protects it for the world. I mean, not everybody's going to be able to go to Greece to see it, and so is it robbery? Yes, but is it also education for the world? I mean, more people go to the British Museum in London than any other museum.
Yeah,
they get an appreciation of different cultures.
And like, I understand the whole point where the British literally stole everything from everybody, but at the same time, they've actually preserved it.
Well, right.
Where there was like how small of a chance it could have been. Like, let's say a 1% chance that the like founding country of where it was stolen from would have done it worse.
Well, do you remember when ISIS started bombing all the things in Iran and Iraq? All the old sites because they were
trying to cleanse the culture.
Yeah, they were trying to cleanse the culture, and so they were. I mean, they bombed museums and they bombed libraries and they bombed old relics. So
yeah,
I don't know.
So that's why, like, I understand why it's like fucked up that the British stole shit. But
I will say, because I think you prove a good point, but I will say that if the country asks for it back, they should give it back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, but I think they ought to have to prove that they're going to take care of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's also assuming that they're not going to. I think they would. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, man, like, I thanks for keeping this, and I know like you guys stole this from the Congo, and like just like pilgrimage this entire village, but kept this.
Well, okay. So how I look at it,
you guys
it's like
help us fund a museum and maybe even bring interest into coming to our country to learn about our culture, not necessarily about the actual.
Well, so how I look at it, it's like, kids go to an orphanage when they lose their parents, right? And then someone adopts them, but then their birth parents come back and say, hey, give me my kids back. I'll give you your kids back because they're your kids.
No, you can't compare both of those things,
dude. It's the same. It's cultural relevance to both things.
Because the adoptive parents didn't break into the house, kill the mom and dad, rape the other kids, and steal a kid. Like the British did.
Maybe
they did. Maybe that would make a better story, Chris. You're right. Well, once again, I'm so glad that we got to do this because last time, if you remember, the topic was South Park, and we ended up talking about Rush.
Yeah, we actually talked about South Park the last episode.
Right. Okay.
Again.
So yeah.
Which actually, that reminds me, because I knew we talked about South Park before, but we talked more so about Casa Bonita. So
okay, well,
but with that being said, where would you live, real quick?
Oh man, I haven't had time to think about it. I'd say
nope.
I'd say probably I'd love to go back to Mexico. That'd be fun to live in Mexico. And Chile, I think Chile would be kind of cool.
I think Chile would be fun.
I don't know much about it, but it seems like a really cool country.
I only picked like English speaking countries because I only speak English, but if I were like fluent in Spanish, I'd definitely go to South.
But also, I'd probably live in Manchester because I just love to watch soccer as much as I can. Yeah. It's so much fun.
Gross.
Anyways, let us know where you guys would live.
Yeah,
and if the British should give their shit back.
Right.
Moving on to the second subject. Hey, cheers.
All right.
Cheers.
Round 2.
No, I'm just kidding. The subject is Rockies. We're talking about the Rockies.
Oh, and it's
you guys
on
went to the game yesterday.
Nope, wrong button.
Yeah, I don't know what you're trying to touch.
Fuck that guy.
That's what I was trying to touch.
Okay.
Yes, that's
So, full disclosure, we're all Rockies fans.
I love baseball. Love the Rockies.
I'm a sports fan. I want to be a baseball fan, but I think I need to just learn more about it.
He's just too dumb.
But I enjoy baseball. I mean, we went to a Rockies game yesterday. That was really fun. But we're not talking about the team. We're talking about, I guess we could talk about the team, but
Yeah.
the one worry we all have is not the team. It's more of the organization that's running the team.
Yeah.
We're all Greeley natives. Shout out to Greeley. And I think this is why it hits more home than it ever probably should.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, the Rockies are owned by the Monforts, which are somehow also Greeley people because they started the cow farm.
Or as my family says it, Los Monfers.
Monferos. So the Monforts are definitely from Greeley. A lot of them still live in or around Greeley, like you have the brothers and nieces and nephews and all that kind of stuff. So,
and but you never see them around. At least I don't.
Yeah, they avoid your people.
No,
musicians.
They only want our people for
no, I was saying musicians.
That's what I'm saying.
They avoid musicians. Yeah.
It's for their wedding. Anyways.
Anyway, yes.
We're not fans of the ownership, is what we're trying to say.
Well, and I think it's. I don't know that it's. We're not fans of the philosophy. The team is typically. We haven't had we've had what 2 above 500 seasons in the last 10 years.
17, 18.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. And we are always in the top 10 of attendance. So we are making money, but we're not spending that money on the field. We're every year our division spins like crazy to be competitive. The Dodgers spin, the Giants spin, the Padres spin.
The Dodgers, in the NL West by itself, the Dodgers are running at $1 million loss. The Giants and Padres are in the hundreds of thousands of dollar loss every season, where now the Diamondbacks are doing well this season, completely coincidentally, and they're one of the lowest spending teams that are doing the best. So they're operating at a net positive right now, but also the Rockies are always at a net positive just because everyone comes to the stadium, which is understandable because if you guys haven't been to Coors Field, it's literally 30% Rockies fans and 40% other people for the other team, and then the rest of the percent are just there.
They're there for a picnic.
Yeah, they're there for fucking picnic.
Here's something interesting. Coors Field is the 3rd oldest stadium in the National League.
Yeah. As of
Fenway, Wrigley, and
as of 5 years ago,
it's Wrigley's the oldest, and then Chavez Ravine.
Yeah,
where the Dodgers play. Yep. Wrigley is older, but Wrigley's in the American. Fenway is older, but it's in the American League.
Oh, gotcha. That's all right.
So, and then the next oldest one compared to us is Petco from the Padres, and that was built in like 2004 or something. So, like being old isn't necessarily old just because so many teams have got new stadiums.
Yeah. Well, it's just frustrating because I love baseball and I love.
But Coors Field still looks very good.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
But every year, last year Aaron Judge was a free agent. The Dodgers made a run. The Padres made a legitimate offer, and the Giants made a legitimate offer, and we just sat on our hands. We didn't do anything, and I think we've got this idea that we're small market, and so small market mentality feeds into that. But we're still making money. I mean, I just.
Dude, my pitch would have been to Judge like, "Hey, you hit a lot of home runs last season. You want to hit more?"
But he wants to win a championship. There's more to that than. I mean, that's why Blackman's. I mean, I shouldn't say anything about the players. I don't know anything about them, but it's just frustrating because I think, when Kroenke took over the Avalanche, look what happened.
Yeah.
You get sports people involved. And there needs to be business people involved, but when you get sports people involved.
Yeah, they make sports moves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing. Like, I'm not a big fan of just owners because, they don't have a reality like we do.
Because now is it the Rockies that are the only team not owned by the Kroenke Walmarts?
Yeah, I think so.
In Colorado.
In Denver. Yeah.
Like, that's my biggest thing is that, like, the Kroenkes, I'll give them this, is the simple fact that they know that what's going to make them money is going to be their teams. And I think once the Rams won it, they got, like, this, like, ego or this drive to be like, we need to be the owners that win everything. So, like, Arsenal, I think they're still in the race for the Premier League championship. They might be a little bit behind right now, but, I mean, they're up there.
Yeah.
The Avs won it last year. The Mammoth have been really good, which I don't know if
the Mammoth won it last year, too.
Yeah, and they're in the playoffs this year. You have the Nuggets who have the best opportunity to win a championship is this year.
Yeah.
So all of their teams have won something. And I think that's what honestly brought, like, there's more Nuggets fans now than there ever's been. And it's like, cool, bandwagon, I get it. But also it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
The Rockies, they don't care about baseball. As much as like they have programs that are like, yo, we're trying to have the youth advocate and to be into baseball. Like, that's awesome, man. But also, like, take care of your fucking team first.
Yep.
Especially when you're as an owner, you're saying, I don't care what the context was, but you never say, I can see our team breaking 500.
Yeah, or that was the goal. What do you say? I realistically think we can play 500 baseball this year. That is your goal.
But the thing was, he was specifically talking about the NL. He wasn't talking about an overall 500 record where you play like the 1 off, the 3 off, the 4 off against AL teams. He was saying just in the NL.
And as a player, when you hear that, do you really care?
Nope.
Yeah,
like right there, it's like, yo, yeah, maybe it sucks to pitch here. Maybe it's going to hit
it's
bats
awful
here
to pitch here.
But you know what? We're making money and we're playing our sport, so let's just keep it at that.
Right.
There's no competitive drive from the owners. They're not going to fill from the players.
But this year, hopefully, it'll change because the attendance has fallen dramatically this year.
Good.
It definitely has. So let me float this
idea.
I've noticed this.
Let me float this idea past you. G, you brought up soccer a couple times. In soccer, if you was it 2 teams are deregulated every year? The bottom 2 teams?
Yeah. And then the top 2 teams are promoted. But it's like through every league.
Right.
So the division over there, it's the top 4 teams in the second league. In the second division, will play a playoff. So it's a 14 playoff
to move up.
Yeah, so then 2 move up, 2 move down.
So what happens if that happens in baseball? And you got to go down to AAA for a year.
I love that, dude.
How rad would that be?
I would fucking love that.
To let the Albuquerque Isotopes come up and play.
So if the MLB didn't own all the minor league teams, like if it was more of like the unaffiliated professional teams, like the Savannah Bananas, for example, they're just independent league. So if we had independent league, like the NoCo Owls independent league, so if we had those teams, then I think that would be amazing. But the fact is that MLB owns the the AA, and the AAA.
That would be more beneficial, I think.
But that's what I'm saying. But it wouldn't be with the minor league teams because the MLB owns those teams and it's all farm teams.
That doesn't make sense, though.
But I still think it would be beneficial for the fans and the farm teams.
But when I say the MLB, it means the owners of the MLB team. So the Rockies own 3 teams.
Is that true? Is that okay? I didn't know they were. Okay.
So all the minor league teams are affiliated, but they're all owned in the same ownership.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so basically, they might have individual owners, but it's under the umbrella of the farm team.
That more competition to be a better minor league team, because can you imagine? The guys that own the St. Louis Cardinals. We got 2 Major League Baseball teams now.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
that would be fun.
I mean, that would encourage you to develop your farm teams more than just feeding systems. I don't know.
I just want to give it to the independent leagues that are fantastic baseball players.
I just think
that don't have a chance at the show.
The one thing that Americans don't understand is that when it comes to sports like that, competitiveness is what keeps sports alive. And I think sometimes when you make it more about the glamour than the actual game, that's when it gets fucked up.
I think the NFL definitely should do that, though.
The NFL, you have the XFL, you have the USFL as well. Why not make those kind of the same incorporation? I get it. You don't want to see the Dallas Cowboys get deregulated. Well, that's on them.
Right.
100%.
You know what I mean? Everyone's going to be pissed off. Dude, show up or don't.
Yep.
And especially if you're in the final place, you're gonna compete just to not to get derelegated.
Yeah. And if you do, then it's time for some changes.
Yeah. Well, with that being said,
so you're saying we should buy a minor league team and then hopefully just advocate for this.
So I've been.
It's like Ryan Reynolds and Rob McAnally.
They bought that soccer team.
They bought this soccer team who's
Wrexham.
Yeah, so they were 1 division below the lowest division, and their goal is to make it to the Premier League. That right there is.
And they won the title this year.
Yeah, so they've already moved up. So it's they're progressively. I think they had to 6 or 7 years to move up to the Premier League, but they can do it. And that's the shit that I would love to see, because it is everyone loves a Cinderella story.
Yeah, but they also made the hard decision and they released 11 players at the end of the season.
This year?
Yep.
That is what it is, man.
Business. It's also a business.
And also,
they want to win.
Well, it's also an opportunity for those players to show up and go somewhere else.
Well, they release the players to make the team better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I've been spending a lot of time in Little Rock, Arkansas, and they have the Arkansas Travelers, and they're a AA team for the Mariners.
Okay.
And the other night, I didn't go to the game, but I saw the newspaper or online that on the newspaper. How old am I? I saw that.
You read this?
Darryl Strawberry threw out the first pitch the other night.
Oh, okay.
At a AA in Little Rock, Arkansas.
That was supposed to give you just a little drop, but it didn't work.
Thanks.
Well, let us know what you guys think about the Rockies. We love the team, hate the ownership. At least I'll speak for myself.
Check out G and Chris's social media. You will see a fun T-shirt shortly.
Coming maybe next week, or maybe when this episode airs.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. All right, let's move on to the next subject. That was good.
All right.
Yeah.
Round 3.
All right, Chris, what's the third subject?
The third subject is evolution of social media arguments.
Hold on.
Fuck that guy.
All right,
so evolution of social media arguments. So how it went from
where are we starting at? Are we starting with like AOL IM, or are we starting with MySpace?
Where you want to start, wherever you want to start.
Did you have a MySpace account?
Paul, you're the oldest one. What's the first one?
I never had MySpace.
Okay.
So I don't,
yeah, like did you argue on LinkedIn or whatever?
I'll tell you. My mom. I'll tell you that my first experience, and this is very funny because I was not at home. I was in college, but I came home and my mom. I'm sorry.
You're good.
My mom had AOL. My mom and dad still have an AOL email address. Isn't that rad?
Solid.
And
I still have a Yahoo email address.
There you go.
Hotmail, baby.
And I went into. I just was mucking around and I was 19, and I opened up AOL Singles. And I went in and started yelling in all caps about Senator Phil Gramm. About just to be, I was probably 18 or 19.
That's amazing.
And I was talking about Senator Phil Gramm because he was getting ready to run for president. And people are like, "This is to talk about singles and find dates, and not talk about politics." And I'm like, you pussies! You don't want to talk about stuff that's real." Who knew I was way ahead of my time?
Yeah, right.
And but no, I hate social media. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I get most of my shows off of Facebook. Mm-hmm. But I hate it.
I like the intention, but I don't like what it's become.
Well, it's just become this. I don't want to talk about it.
And
but today was the
evolution.
worst day. Yeah, today's the worst day of my life, but I don't want to talk about it. It's like,
I will say the one thing that I think that social media has made better is the awareness of like asking for help, because people just like that was the way they kind of went towards it. You know, because people would be the same exact way. And I think now some more, it's like because we're able to just talk about our feelings and our emotions more, I think that's the only plus that's come out of that, is that people are more willing to seek help, go to therapy, things like that because of it. But that's like the one of like very few good things that have happened to the evolution of social media. So,
but I also have bought, they know what I like, so I found an ad popped up on my Facebook for the new Jordan, so I bought them.
Yeah,
because so they know what I like. So I've also found some stuff on.
They got to make their money somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess social media, it was not that bad up until a certain election.
2016.
You said it, not me.
That's what it was. I don't know why you want to say it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was going to say we're getting voting for Obama, but whatever.
2008. I'm just kidding. 2008
moving on.
Open up the gates of how to strategically do that. So
moving on. But anyway, so then all of a sudden, everybody got super, super divided. Like you had an aunt or an uncle that, were kind of you didn't agree with, but they're just like, "Hey, always love you, good to see you." And then all of a sudden they're just like, and you're just like, well, this is fucking terrible.
Well, I think where that comes from is people see things. And my mom, God bless her, she's the worst. She'll see something online, and guess what? It's true.
Yeah.
And so I can post all this bullshit on Facebook and say, today this happened. Somebody's going to see it and be like, oh my God, that Paul sometimes knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. See, and it's funny that you say that, because as a millennial, I don't know if Gio will remember this because he wasn't really allowed on the internet. But our parents always yelled at us, like, don't always believe what you see online because, there might be telling you lies. And then now it's literally flipped. It's like they were telling us that as whatever, 14, 15-year-olds, and now they're in their 60s and they believe everything they fucking see online. I'm like, what the fuck?
There
aren't hundreds of hot singles within 5 miles of my house.
No, there is.
There probably is.
No, there is. But the only caveat is that they're all dudes.
Yeah.
Well.
I mean, I'm a hot single.
Yeah, he's a hot single. So yeah,
I'm just saying.
If we're looking for a good handy, make sure you hit up my neighbor or whatever the fuck it was called. So this adult friend finder, that's the one.
Oh yeah, they weren't for friends. Just so you guys know, they weren't for friends.
So this is kind of what I'm thinking of, like how the evolution of social media happened. I'm going to start with MySpace. I think MySpace was the first one that kind of just got you like, oh, we can talk outside of just like we're like our regular circle, right? And it was always very personal. It wasn't like you had to like sell yourself. And it wasn't until, because even Facebook started that way, where it's like, everyone that I'm friends with, I'm actually friends with. I know who they are. Mm-hmm. We can have like these conversations. We can do these fucking like little polls. It's like, yeah, like what's your favorite color? Blue. Like, where's the first time you had your first kiss?
So you're really friends with everybody on Facebook in person?
Well, when it came out.
Oh,
back when it came out. Okay. Yeah, which was like 2008. Yeah.
And so from there, the evolution kind of came. Twitter honestly had a new step because people can say their opinions in a short amount of time. So then people felt like they were behind a curtain. So then they started saying their opinions, and I think that's where that really started off, where people say, well, I can say what I want because like, no, what are people going to do? You know what I mean? And so from there we started becoming more open towards the world instead of just to our friends. And I think that's what's really caused like this whole entitlement to say what you want online, because you feel safe to say it, and because no one in your circle that you're with is willing to be like, hey man, maybe that's not a good take, or hey, maybe you should stop doing this.
Well, also I feel like there's a lot of it where
it's toxic as fuck.
People are just in a bubble. So like, especially after a certain election that I will not name,
2016, 2020.
But people started unfriending people that disagreed with them, so they created a giant echo chamber of just their ideas,
their preference. Which why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah, but I did not do that at all.
Oh, I did. I was guilty of it. I did it.
Yeah, and I just disagreed with that entire mindset. And when I say something controversial, people call me out on it, and I would love to have an argument, or more so a discussion about it. But it turns into an argument more of the time. And it's like, well, where's your facts at? And they're like, well, do your own research. I'm like, but I did, and that's why I disagree with you.
The hardest thing, and I hate to say this in the wrong way, is that there's no intellectual gain from social media. So if you get all your information from social media, you're not learning anything. You're learning what you want to learn and what you want to hear, as compared to saying, you know what, I'm going to put this down, read a book, or like make like this like actual like thought process to what I want to think about. I think that's where it's at. But yeah, the evolution of social media fucking sucks, man, because it is one of those things where I know I had to have it in order to get my shows out, to get any event that we're putting on. It's necessary, but I think it's also, we have a hard time just being like, no, I'm just not going to follow this person because they're very toxic at what they're saying. And like,
you have to cut those ties with people because they're just saying so much.
Well, I mean, would you have a beer with these people? Would you sit down and have a? I mean, that's the thing is you know, every time I do a show, and I'm sure this is the same with you, both you guys. Every time you do a show or you do an event, you get dozens of Facebook friend requests, and
I actually lose friends. It's weird.
I try to lead them to my show page, to the mystery collection page. But I just, they're not my friends. You know, and I've got a bunch of magicians, rando magicians all over the country that I'm Facebook friends with, because I was at 666 friends. Remember that? I do remember that. That was my goal, and then I just got tired. I just was getting bombarded with shit, so I dumped a bunch, and I'm getting back up there. But I think that's what my goal is going to be, to get back.
I do remember that you like dumped like 30 people or 40 people or something. So it's like
two of them are friends that I lent money to. That one of them I'm actually suing. I filed it yesterday. We got a judgment yesterday against him. And you know what? I have and this is going to make me sound very braggy. I have a really extraordinary life, and I get to choose who I share it with. You know?
And you've luckily chosen us.
Well, you guys, I mean, but you see what I'm saying is that you know, if you want to stand on the street corner on 10th Street and spout your bullshit about thanks Obama and Trump this and Trump that,
let's
fine.
go, Brandon.
I don't have to participate in that. But if you want to post that shit on my page, that's on me. If you want to post that on my feed to where I can see it, that's on me. That I don't need it. My life is full of amazing, awesome people, and that's what I want to keep it that way.
And I think with that being said, I'll leave it at this, at least for my sake or argument, or whatever. I think because of that, I've realized recently, you know what? I think we have the world on the palm of our hands, and it's overwhelming. So fuck the world. Focus on local.
Right.
And so I think that's why I think that's why my friends my friend list, like on my personal page, is definitely lower, because I'm just like, I want to see stories, and I want to see how people are living their lives that I care about, or that I'm looking forward to encouraging. I don't follow a lot of fans and things like that, and it's not because I don't care about them. I absolutely do, and I'll have a beer with them and sit down and meet them that way. But I'm not going to meet them through social media.
Do you have a professional page? You have the Defeats of Porpoise has a page, don't they? Yeah. Yep. Do you have a professional page?
Facebook, yes.
Okay.
So my personal one, I don't really accept any new friend requests unless I'm like, oh yeah, like I fuck with you.
Yeah, unless it's like something completely professional on a different aspect.
And it certainly isn't like I'm not trying to think I'm better than you guys. It's not even that.
It took him 4 years to accept my friend's request.
That's true. I think for me, it's just more from my mental stability. I want to see people who are doing cool shit. Like my favorite right now is Ruth. I don't know if you know who Ruth is. She used to be our teacher at Central. She took a tour to Ecuador and like loves the culture of this, or she posted about that. Like, I want to know more about that shit.
That's exactly why I don't have a lot of friends.
Like, I want the ambition of you, not what you believe is right and wrong with this world.
Well, when I get to 666, then it's a one in, one out party. Yeah, and I've already got the list started of the guys that are on the bubble to get kicked out. You know, if you're some shithead magician from Butthole, Kansas, I don't know yet.
Yeah, you're out, bro. Well, with that being said,
what are your final thoughts, Chris?
Dude, I don't use social media as social media anymore. So I used to be on there and argue with everybody about everything all the time. That was like my thing. I was like, I fucking love doing this.
He's all Joe Walsh's underrated.
Yeah, Jimmy Page is overrated.
He doesn't know what that means.
I do. He showed me. But it's like, I don't do that anymore.
Neanderthals.
I literally use it to promote the podcast, the business, and the band.
Well, see,
that's all I use it for.
I make posts. I post something pretty regular, and I think they're very fun. And then I'm
very quippy too, though. So I like post quips, but nothing like.
Then I walk away.
Yeah.
And people will comment. I don't reply to comments, and I never comment on anybody else's shit. They don't give a shit if
Yeah. Well, if it's my family, like right now I have a cousin who's like, "Yo, Lakers in 4," and then the Lakers lost.
I will argue about that.
And I'm just like, "Yo, fuck the Lakers." So I mean, like that. But it's with my family. It's not like a rando.
I don't think I'm Facebook friends with any of my family.
Well,
so, yeah.
I'm also Mexican, so I have like 100,000 cousins.
You were Scottish, sir.
Yeah. You said
that's the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking winka.
That's not what the Scots say.
It's okay. They're UK, so it's fine. All right, down the hatch, you guys.
Anyway, moving on.
Round 4.
All right, Paul.
All right, so the next one is favorite podcast other than Best of 5 and the Mystery Collection conversations.
Favorite podcast. I would probably put Best of 5 as my last one. I'm just kidding. Totally kidding.
Dude, so it's funny you say that. Like, completely random story. So... at some point, I watched.
Thanks.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Sorry.
But at some point that I watched like Best of 5 enough times where it was like a suggested playlist of podcasts, and I was listening to my favorite podcasts, and Best of 5 was like the third video up, and I'm like, how the fuck did this happen? Because it was like the Tom Segura, Burt Kreischer podcast, Two Bears, One Cave, and then it was the Whiskey Ginger podcast with goddamn Andrew Santino. And then it was our podcast. I'm like, why is our podcast on this list? This is absolutely
Did you screenshot that and print it off?
I should have.
What is your most, of the Best of 5s, I'm hoping that the answer is me. What is the one that has the most views?
Oh, actually, funny you say that. It was probably our last one.
Okay.
If we go by YouTube views by themselves.
I can go Buzzsprout if you want.
Yeah, you go Buzzsprout. Because, our not our last one, but let's see. So we had our good friends Nathan and Ben on, and they're dancers with the Colorado Dance Collective. We got 110 views on that podcast, and I think, I have to scroll for your podcast.
So for
you remember what episode you were?
666.
Oh well,
it's 420. I remember what it is, but
it was shortly after Skip's 420.
That's right.
Okay.
So all time on the audio version of what we do, the top one is going to be our pilot episode, which is still we should probably delete that one.
Yeah, probably.
They probably says like, oh, fuck
yeah,
that.
yours got 80.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second is our live episode at 58.
Okay.
And then episode 5, which is EDM Chipotle versus Qdoba in Sports in 2020.
Okay.
Fuck, that's so long ago.
That was
all right. Well, I got us off topic. I want to know your real favorite podcast.
Yeah. So my favorite podcast that I listen to weekly. Well, I say weekly loosely because they're a movie podcast. So if I don't watch the movie that came out that Friday, I don't watch the podcast on Monday until I see the movie, and then I listen to the podcast. But it's called The Weekly Planet. Okay. It's two Australian blokes that...
you say blokes way better than I do, by the way.
Yeah, it's they do like comic books, movies, and video games.
Okay.
And, like, that's their whole podcast, and it's absolutely amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine... I don't know. I'm looking at what I listen to because I don't like. I listen to podcasts, but I don't know what I'm listening to. Right now, what I'm really into is the Ringerverse. It's only on Spotify, and it's like these two black nerdy dudes, and I love black nerdy dudes. They're my favorite to listen to.
She loves the blacks, confirmed.
It's true, man. They're fucking.
He's an Urkel lover.
Yo, black people have done so much for this country culturally, and I fuck with them. They're fucking awesome.
What have they done for you sexually, though?
So the Ringerverse, they're super nerdy. So like when the Mandalorian was out, they actually helped me kind of understand if I liked the Mandalorian anymore or not. And when did you watch the Mandalorian?
I did.
You know that fucking Jack Black Lizzo episode?
Yes.
They spoke every single thing that I was like, yeah, that fucking shit.
Yeah.
So they're really good. I do a lot of NPR news, like when I wake up and when I go to bed, just see where everything's at in the world. There's another one that's called a Spotlight, I think that's what it's called, Outside, and they kind of interview musicians, but they also talk about their upcoming albums. So they'll go from track to track and talk about those albums. It's really good. I think that's about it for the most part.
I listen to a lot of comedian podcasts though. Like,
I mean, yeah, I'll listen to bits of like Joe Rogan.
I definitely can only listen to Joe Rogan in bits, and depends on who his guest is.
Yeah. Conan O'Brien's a friend's also a good one.
Yeah, Conan O'Brien's one is good. Like I said, I do Burt Kreischer and Tom Segura's podcast, Two Bears, One Cave. I do Whiskey Ginger with Andrew Santino. I do Bad Friends with Andrew Santino and Bobby Lee.
Bobby Lee's a madman.
Oh, dude, he's
Bobby
wild.
Lee is a madman.
His comedy is so
I used to listen to Tiger Belly, which was Bobby Lee and his then girlfriend Kalila or something.
Yeah.
But since they broke up, it's been weird vibes.
Are they still doing the podcast?
They still do the podcast, but I just don't.
You can feel it.
I don't fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't fuck around with that anymore. But yeah, like Andrew Schultz, I fucking love his podcast. Flagrant something?
I don't know.
Mark Maron's was really good.
Ooh, Mark Maron's really good.
Mark Maron. I'm a big Mark Maron fan.
Yeah, one of the OG podcasters is like Joe Rogan and Mark Maron. And Mark Maron, even Joe Rogan will say Mark Maron inspired me to do my podcast.
Yeah.
So,
Mark Maron he's been around since like the early.
I've seen him do
2000s.
stand up twice, and I think Mark Maron's a genius. I think he's very
definitely.
very sharp.
I feel like Mark Maron is like the oh my god, what's the fuck's his name? Paul Mooney.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
do you ever watch Easy, the show on Netflix called Easy?
I don't think
check
so.
it out. He's in that. It's very fun.
Oh,
It's very fun.
I might have watched
He's
that.
a comic book artist, I think, or a graphic novel artist.
Oh, okay.
if you guys like basketball, sorry, I'm totally eating a cookie as we're talking. Up and Smoke, I think it's called Want the Smoke or something like that. It's with they're two basketball players. Matt Barnes is one of them, and the other one is Steven Jackson.
Okay.
And it's fucking awesome. That's a really good one if you like.
Yeah, I listen to various baseball
All
podcasts.
That Smoke is what it's called. Yeah, All That Smoke.
I listen to John Boy's baseball podcast, which they do like a whole different thing.
JJ Reddit's podcast is awesome. I love JJ Reddit. If you know,
Well, I saw something. He had a big rant the other day, yesterday, on Ja Morant.
dude. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fucking Ja.
Yeah.
Is that the IG Live? Like, okay,
What a fucking tool that guy is. We won't get into that. DVD extras.
yeah.
I got thoughts on
Yeah,
Ja.
what are your? We went through our podcast.
My favorite podcast. I think my favorite one of all time is called War.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
With Aaron Mahnke. I get a lot of inspiration from my shows from that, and I had a chance to go see it live and hang out and meet him and talk to him for a little bit, and I like that a lot. The other one I really like is Welcome to Night Vale. Do you know about Welcome to Night Vale?
Yeah.
So it's community radio for this trailer park home in like Butthole, Nevada.
That's amazing.
Where everything is paranormal.
Oh, okay.
And everything is like the mayor is a 3-headed monster that just is disguised as an old woman, and it's this community radio. It's very fun. But the one I've been listening to a lot lately is called Clue the Movie, and it's these two guys that made a documentary about Clue.
The movie.
Yeah. And they watch
fantastic movie. If you guys haven't
watch a minute of the movie, and then spend 20 minutes talking about that minute.
Just a minute.
So there's going to be 97 episodes.
That's actually
and
hilarious.
It is very funny because these guys, one of the guys, I don't remember his name, but he made the Back to the Future documentary.
Okay.
And wrote the book on Back to the Future, and now they're doing the same for Clue, and it's very fun because I'm obsessed with Clue. I think we've talked about this. I've got 12 Clue tattoos.
Yeah.
And people ask me how many tattoos I have, and I think I can't count anymore.
You should see his penis.
So
Yeah.
I think it's equal to
It's black.
It went blackface.
my number of tattoos is equal.
God damn it, G.
My number of tattoos is equal
His
to.
penis is canceled.
All right, fuck it. You've stepped on my joke 3 times now. You don't get to hear it. No, fuck you, G. Nope, you don't get to hear it. You stepped on my joke 3 times. No jokes for you.
Just say your penis is canceled.
So the Clue podcast.
Yeah, dude. Dude, I would actually be obsessed with that
I
because
just started talking about your penis.
I love the Clue movie.
Oh, it's so good.
For how ridiculous it is.
So, do you know who plays Mr. Body in that movie?
I don't remember.
Lee Ving is his name.
Okay.
And he was the lead singer of a punk band called Fear.
I know that band.
The Fuck You, I Don't Care About You.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that got banned on Saturday Night Live because they were friends with Belushi and they trashed the stage.
Yep.
Look it up sometime. All you guys out there, look it up. Fear, Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
He plays, they didn't like his voice. So they dubbed it.
He acted the character and they just overdubbed him.
Yeah, watch that movie.
Interesting.
I think that is such a fun movie. It's
very good.
I've been working for over 10 years. I've been working on a routine based on Clue, and I tried it out for the first time at the show I did here in Greeley, my 8th anniversary show in April. and it went over fine. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
So I'm reworking it, and but yeah, it's been an obsession of mine. This Clue routine for 10 years.
What's that saying? If it fails once, try again.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
No, and it's been.
Well, what's that saying? That that's time.
You just told us to fuck off, Paul.
That's all right.
Also, sorry about talking about your penis for that long, Paul.
No. I mean, I guess
It was like two sentences, but it was too long.
It was
like Paul's penis.
Wow.
Too long.
Trust me, my joke was better than G's talking about my penis.
Hey, if you think
It
Paul,
usually is. G's not funny.
if you think Paul talks too much, you should see what his penis does too much. Anyways, that was time.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I didn't know.
It's the
Let's
whiskey.
move on.
man.
Just move on. Just move on.
Speak of.
Let us,
We got whiskey G
Let us know what you guys think about. It wasn't Clue. What the fuck was the subject?
podcast.
Podcasting. Yeah, your favorite podcast, and why you like it. Cheers.
Final round.
Just giving ourselves a time limit. Paul, thank you so much for joining us, man. We do appreciate it. Make sure you guys.
This is my favorite.
Make sure you guys check out Paul Noffsinger on June
4th through the 8th.
That's right.
Information is if you go to themysterycollection.com, it's the front page, and you get ticket information there. I'm doing it again with my friend Paul Prater, who's one of my best friends in the world and actually one of the finest performers I know.
Well, listen, man, if there's anything you should see at the Stanley, it's definitely some type of like magic shows, because you guys are also doing like.
It's not. So you're not.
It's not a magic show.
Yeah, I was like, so you're a magician, but you're not a magician.
Yeah, we've talked. I don't like calling my stuff magic.
Exactly. I mean,
My tagline is, and I'm very proud of this line, and other shitty magicians have stolen it since I've come up with it. It's an evening of intimate mystery and illusion.
Yeah.
And
so you do a lot of like
is that your tagline when you're meeting a beautiful lady?
You know what's funny is I used to have this rule that I don't do magic on dates. And because
it disappears out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Before the morning.
I just think it's like can you imagine? I mean, it's that Arrested Development shit. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be, because I fucking hate magicians. You guys, I think I talked about this last.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
But I don't. You know.
But yeah, you're an illusionist and mentalist kind of thing.
Yeah. Storyteller. I mean, I'm a storyteller. You've seen bits and pieces of a show. Mm-hmm, yeah, you guys got to come out and see a full
I've seen
show
a disaster.
Sometime.
Don't worry about that.
Oh yeah, G saw one of the worst shows I've ever done.
Perfect.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It's like what's that? And I mean that with respect. So it's like comedians are like, have you ever just seen like a comedian like bomb? It's the greatest thing to watch. It's one of those things that's like,
well, especially if they're your friend and you know how it's supposed to go, and it's going side. Like I went to a G show like a little while ago, and he was just like,
dude,
awful.
It was bad.
His voice was like, and then we made eye contact, and that's what made the show more fun. Because we know that this isn't good, but everyone else is all drunk and like, yes.
And I looked at Chris and I'm like, fuck, dude.
My last show in Little Rock, and I've had very successful shows in Little Rock. Paul and I've done them. Prater and I've done them, and Prater actually, because of the previous show I had done, Paul doesn't want to follow me anymore because I get the crowd so excited. He's like, I can't follow you.
Yeah, he's like, I'm the opener now.
Right. And so this last show, he opened and I closed it. And during his set, I'm sitting there watching one of the finest performers I know. Bomb.
Sorry, let's put that back in. Yeah.
He just is, and it wasn't him. It was his. I mean, he's a perfect performer. And the audience was just not there.
You had those nights. You got a bomb, man.
And so I got up and did the show that I had just done a week before here and killed. Yeah. I'd done it 2 weeks before in Denver and killed.
Yeah.
And this audience was fucking dead.
Yeah, dude.
Sometimes you get a room of introverts.
Yeah.
You know, and it brings the whole room down.
You know what? It's the idea that you find once in a while you find that one show where you just can't please anybody.
Nope. Yeah. Well, you know they say.
We'll definitely keep that on the hat for sure because I think it's a good subject.
What do they say? You can't please everybody all the time, but all of those people were at my show last night.
Yeah, for real.
You know?
For real.
But anyway,
topic number 5.
Topic number 5, and as you guys know, every time we have a topic number 5, we pass it off to our special guest of the evening. This special guest just happens to be Paul. So, Paul, what is
fucking Noffsinger?
That's right. Thanks.
Topic number 5.
So I thought about this, and I know we've talked about this a lot on film, but also a great. G and I've talked about this a lot
on film. Jesus Christ.
Off of being recorded. You guys have both had like jobs, you know, in the past. And
I still have a job.
But you're pursuing something in the creative world, you know.
Yeah.
And March 24th was my 8th anniversary from when I quit my job.
Applause, baby, applause.
Yeah.
Give it to him. Don't.
Oh no. There we go. All right.
There it is.
Well, I walked away from
I didn't have the screen open. I didn't know which one was which.
And so I
don't use this soundboard a lot. I'm sorry.
I talked to some of my buddies and they said, "Is this where you thought you would be?
Yeah.
Is this what you expected?" So I guess what I wanted to kind of talk about is, you walked away from stuff and you've dedicated your forward momentum to an art. Is this where you thought you'd be? And if it's not, what's next?
That is so.
I'm gonna lead off with this one.
That's so good, but also hurts my heart.
No, so I'll lead off. The last job where I had insurance, that's the way usually I put it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Was almost 10 years ago.
Right? We knew each other, but we weren't hanging out yet.
Yeah. So it was probably, yes.
Because G used to be my bank teller. I don't know if you knew that.
What bank did you work for?
Me and Chris used to be like really nice to each other. It was great.
Yeah.
What bank did you work for?
So I started at Chase immediately after high school, and then I was there for 5 years. Fuck, that's weird to see. That's weird to say.
That's a long time.
And then I worked at a BBVA Compass.
Okay.
At the time, which is now PNC, right?
Yeah.
Worked there for a year and a half, and I quit. I quit that job.
But yeah, so that's my bank, and G was mine. And we're we know each other. Weird.
There was I think a desperation at that time. I really felt in my early 20s that time was running out. Because it's like you have to figure out what you want to do, and I knew music. I knew music was like the one thing I wanted to do for sure. I just didn't know how I can make that happen. But I got to the point where my mental capacity of dealing with bullshit and people that thought they were better than me, only because their title was slightly higher than mine, I snapped. This is one thing that changed me as a person. I went to my boss's office and was like, "Hey, I'm done. Like, I just can't deal with this guy. Like, he's fucking awful. Like, he just wants to like belittle me, and this isn't for me. I can't sell CDs. I can't sell credit cards. I can only sell what's going to benefit people, not what's going to make people miserable."
CDs as in the bank term, not music term.
Both, yeah. No, I can't sell CDs either.
Yeah,
they're obsolete.
Do you have a recorded CD?
We do.
I can get them reprinted for sure. But
yeah, I have one I can just give you because I don't listen to it.
But I don't have a CD player.
It was fair. What is that?
Your car?
Neither one of my cars have CD players.
No, this guy fucking drives a fucking nice ass truck. What the fuck would he have a CD player in there?
I don't know, man.
Dick.
I thought he was like more of a retro guy, like drove like a 2000 Chevy or something.
I can see Paul driving a 2000 Chevy. No, but it was the first time.
I just got a new car yesterday.
Oh, did you really? Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah. It does not have a CD player in it.
It's like, I downgraded. It has a 8-track player.
A record player.
That was the first time I felt... Okay, so I guess I can ask you guys this question.
That's also a perfect record noise, I'm just saying.
That was really good.
That was good.
Thank you.
Have you guys ever had a moment in your lives where emotion took over and like your conscience did not go with the flow of what that was?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, whether it be good or bad, it happened, right? It happened to me a couple weeks ago, actually, and I'm not happy about it, but it happened. And it was a good real reflection as to where I was going at. That happened to me at the moment at the bank when I was like, I'm fucking done. I walked out of the bank. I was a vault teller at the time, so that they're like, well, if we're doing this, you have to do it this way. I'm like, no, by all means, like, do it. Because if not, you guys can always like be like, well, there's money missing. Like, do whatever you got to do. I just don't want to be here anymore. Did that. Went to the Crush Room at the time.
Yep.
Got a beer from Kim. Good old Kimmy. Shout out to Kimmy. And I was just like, I freaked out because I'm like, what the fuck did I just do? I went with emotion before I went through like the actual like logic of it.
Yeah.
But it was the greatest decision ever made, and I think
second greatest.
No, it was the greatest. It really was.
Second, because the first is us starting a company together.
Second greatest.
Fuck.
Or first greatest. I started meaning.
Yeah.
You're like fifth. Marrying Heather is definitely probably the best decision I've ever made. Let's be real.
That's actually pretty good. That's pretty good.
Eighth best decision she's ever made.
No, it was the. I guess.
It's like, ooh.
Sorry, I know I'm taking time right now, but it was. I think when I saw that,
there's time limit on this shit.
I mean, there's not.
Sometimes.
I just want to make sure you guys can be able to say what you guys think, right? I think at that moment in time, I didn't know where I was going with it, but the expectations were high because I was in my 20s. I think. If I look at myself 10 years ago and I look where I'm at now, I wouldn't be happy with it. But as I've grown and evolved to where I'm at, I'm very happy with where I'm at because my biggest priority for myself is my happiness.
Yeah, so that's a good point that you brought up. Not to cut you off if you're done.
No, I'll be done because I talked a lot. So
yeah, but 10 years ago, me would be excited.
You're talking, so we can't choose you. Fuck. Okay.
I can do whatever the fuck I want. It's half my podcast.
It's most of it, actually. Most of it's yours.
Yeah, it's fair.
I'm taking over. It's mine now.
Yeah.
All
But
your
yeah.
bases belong
Show me
to
the
me.
check. Show me the check. Well,
Yeah,
please show me the check.
So 10 years ago, me would definitely be excited yet confused at me today. Because 10 years ago, me was just starting their band and thought it was their forever band.
Was it this?
Over the Rail.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that was my first band. It's like your first girlfriend you had sex with. It was
the first band that had a potential.
Yeah, the first girlfriend you had sex with, it's like, oh my God, I love this person. This is the best person ever.
So, do you wish you could go back and have sex with that person again?
No.
To show them you're better?
No.
Oh, okay.
Specifically the first person? No. Okay. I don't.
Sorry.
They don't deserve it.
So your band, your first band, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They don't deserve that dick.
Yeah, they don't deserve my dick. But anyway.
With my dick.
But anyway, yeah, so my first band, I was like, yo, this is my forever band. I'm going to get a fucking Over the Rail tattoo. We're going to be famous. We're going to be so fucking famous.
Dude, I remember this, yeah.
And I think I was in that band when I was 22 to 24. So I was in that band for 2 years, which is a long time in band.
They were good. I will say they definitely were good, yeah.
But we were super young and inexperienced, and that's what made us not good. And we were too arrogant and cocky to realize that. Mm-hmm. And then since then, I've been in, oh my God.
He's a little slut when it comes to music.
15 bands in the last 10 years. It's been a lot. Mm-hmm. And now I finally have the experience and the knowledge, and the band I'm in now, I'm like, okay, cool. We can do stuff in this band. And we've been a band for 3, almost 4 years now, but COVID kind of switched the trajectory of all of that. But anyway, it's just so strange that I thought I was going to be in this reggae rock band that sounded like 311, and now I'm in a band that's not even close to any of that. And 10 years ago, me would be like, yo, you're doing what I hoped you would do. Doing audio sound, just production stuff in general, but also confused that I've been in so many bands.
Yeah, but you also found the right band.
I did.
As of now. Because, I mean, it's one of those things where I don't know if all of you guys
Well, I found the right band and someone moved to Texas. So.
No, that's definitely not the case. No, you're really with the right band right now.
I
think it's one of those things where, sorry, Paul.
No, I'm not going anywhere.
I think with you, man, it's one of those things where...
He's complimenting me, so it hurts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I fucking can't do this. It's fucking terrible. Right. No, but it's one of those things where I think you have the people that want to do the band. It's just a matter of figuring out how you make that equitable and how you make that kind of that next step, right? So, no, dude, honestly, man, I think outside looking in, your 10-year-old self would probably be really proud of you. Honestly.
Well, it wouldn't be 10. It'd be 10 years ago self.
Yeah, sorry, that your 20.
I was helping your
23rd.
ESL.
Fuck you. You know what? You fucking suck, okay?
Noted.
I take it back.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, I think your younger self would be really proud of you.
Yeah, and
because you never gave up on that dream. That's the one thing that I think I can say to myself is I'm still doing music and I'm doing it pretty well, successfully.
Well, so in
music wise probably really bad.
But even as the younger self, I literally gave up on music to be a music producer. So when I graduated high school, I stopped being a musician per se to focus on recording arts.
So here's a question that I kind of want to ask both of you. Mm-hmm. And we'll definitely want to hear it for sure. Yeah. I think one of the things that I've realized now that I've gotten older is the simple fact that it's not just one thing that I want. You know what I mean? So, so the thing that you're saying right now is
multifaceted.
There's so many things, and I think that's the hardest thing that I had to come by is maybe music isn't really my thing, but it's a thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
And here's these little sublets of it, right? So, Paul, tell me what your thoughts on that?
Well, and you'll have to go back for those of you who didn't watch my first episode, number 666 with these guys. I tell the story of my fifth grade, if you remember my fifth grade talent show, where the teacher told me that I better get a good job, and that's all I've ever wanted to do. My goal was to be a stand-up comedian. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
and
you're close.
My show's very very. People have reviewed it as it's stand-up comedy with magic.
Yeah,
but I guess I never thought this would take. When I left JBS, I gave myself a year, and I figured that within a year I'd be back. And my boss said, "You're always welcome back." And I said, "Well, give me a year."
Like you're taking a sabbatical.
Yeah. And I'm going to try. I'm going to try something. But I really thought I'd be back. Well, within that first year, I got hired to be a consultant on Penn and Teller Fool Us, and I was a consultant for America's Got Talent.
I didn't know that shit. Fuck yeah, dude. That's sick.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he said on the last podcast. But
Did you really?
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. No, that's awesome. Sorry.
See, that's why I'm the producer, because I listen.
And I don't know that I've ever, and I can tell this story now because the guy's dead. I was hired to be a consultant on a documentary about Anton LaVey.
Oh, really?
You know who Anton LaVey is? He's the founder of the Church of Satan.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's a great story for another time. But I never thought it would take. And then all of a sudden I wrote a show and people started coming and I started selling out shows. And I'm like, oh my God, this is, you know, and I thought I could just like wing it. And I discovered you can't. It's hard work, you know. And I tell my friends that want to be comedians. Well, Ryan Doherty, you know, he's been doing stand up for a little bit. Being funny is fucking hard.
It's very hard. That's why I carry this podcast. Like, it's so hard to be funny.
But getting up in front. I mean, anybody can sit and play a guitar. Not anybody, but you can play a guitar. But getting up in front of an audience and keeping an audience's attention, and not just being background noise, but not also being overdone and in their face.
That's the biggest complaint I have, man.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I want to be heard. It's like, well, playing all, it's not the way to do it.
Yeah. Like glorified karaoke. It's like that weird balance.
That's my nickname.
That's very true.
But I just, you know, I sell a lot of posters and T-shirts and shit at shows, and I sign a lot of posters and take a lot of pictures. And somebody told me at a show recently, so they're like, I want you to sign a couple of these posters. That way, when you're really famous, they're going to be worth something. And I thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, you know what? I'm as famous as I want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I get to control my schedule.
Success. You should control your own success too.
Yeah, and I'll tell you I don't want to miss how important this is to me. The opportunity to do my show at the Stanley Hotel is a huge deal.
Yeah.
You know, there are magicians all over the world that will never get this opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
And the fact that I get to do it with one of my best friends is even cooler.
Yeah,
you know?
and
proud of that shit, man.
Yeah, and being a musician in Colorado, like, we all have our stepping stones. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I will ever reach my highest stepping stone, like playing Red Rocks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you might.
Yeah, but, you know, it's like, it's still there. Mm-hmm. It's still there. So we're going to try and push to that. I don't know if I ever will play Red Rocks, but if I ever do, I'm going to cherish the moment, regardless if I'm the fucking opener at 4 p.m. when the headliner's going on at 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yep. I'm there, you know, doing my thing.
And that's the thing, man, is that a few things I'll say. One, because I was writing this down, because this actually does mean a lot to me. The biggest thing that I think that I had to come through, and I think you guys did as well, is realizing that art is a profession.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of shows that we've all done for the sake of exposure, because you're just like, oh, I'll make it. And making it, I think for me, was kind of like, I need to be making a lot of money and playing these Red Rock shows and doing this and that, right?
I don't want you to lose your point, but I wouldn't interrupt.
You're fine.
It took me a while to get to that point where I believed that. Mm-hmm. And until I got to that point where I said, this is a business, I got pissed because other people didn't respect my time. But I didn't respect my time. I treated it as if it was a glorified hobby. And as soon as I started doing contracts, all of a sudden I was getting paychecks with commas in it. And I'm like, oh my God. And I remember that. This paycheck has a comma in it. This is real. This is real.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's funny. I got to credit a lot of that to you, man. I think we had a conversation, and I hope, when we talk and we're doing these things, and I know we've been super stupid and been talking about Paul's penis this entire time, but no, one of the things
it's pretty spectacular. I mean, you'll have to check out OnlyFans / Mystery Collection.
He pulls down his pants and says Wu-Tang.
Dude, that would actually
okay, hold on.
DVD
but after a while, it says Wu-Tang, lango.
No, Wu-Tang.
I mean, this topic's been over for a minute, so I'm waiting for you guys to finish.
Wu-Tang ain't nothing.
That's what his penis says. It's great. You guys should see it on OnlyFans.
No, but he was saying something nice about me, Chris.
Yeah, no.
Shut the fuck up.
The one thing I will say is that you really did put a perspective into the way I perceive shows, is that, if you got to see it as a profession, and your time is worth that, so put a time limit to it. And you said it earlier, but when you came in, it's like, if one person says no, the person that says yes will take care of that no. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So there's that. Another thing that I wanted to say is that the people who are great, who are successful, don't just focus on one specific thing. I know we're talking shit about LeBron James. Yeah, by all means, that's all right. But
that was off, Mike.
But for sure. But we all talk fuck LeBron James. But the one, go on.
Yeah, Chris, you dropped the bomb.
Man, you act like this shit's easy.
I do this. Fuck that guy.
The one thing I'll give those people, even Dr. Dre, we'll say Dr. Dre and Jay-Z specifically, those guys are known for hip hop, but the way they made their money's been outside of that.
Oh, right.
And so it's one of those things where I think we're all at a position where it's like, music is our thing. Doing these shows is our thing. But also, what are other avenues that kind of scratch our itch in doing these things, right? And then finally, what I'll say, sorry, I know. Like I said, this means a lot.
There's no reason to be sorry.
The final thing that I'll say is that you talk about how it's hard work. I think for me, what I try to change about that is it's not hard work; it's just work. Mm-hmm. It's literally finding the discipline to be able to say, "Hey, I got to do this.
Well, I
got to make this all better," because that's hard work. It is hard
but I didn't mean that it was hard work. I meant it's not as easy as people think. People think that
to be a musician or an artist.
Yeah, no.
I've had friends that are not magicians.
But with that said, let me click the button.
Okay,
so everyone knows
because I'm not finished.
So everyone knows.
Yeah.
I've had friends that have seen my show that have said, "I've seen your show enough that I could probably do it."
Yeah, and that fucking
and you're like,
sucks.
Do it.
And it's like, are you fucking? Do you have any idea how long I've worked on this shit?
Okay, so there's what is it? Picasso, the famous Picasso story of like this lady asked him to paint a picture. She's like, no, by all means, it takes 15 minutes, and he gives him like, it'll be $5,000. And the lady's like, wait, no, that's not okay. Like, why is it $5,000? You just did it in 15 minutes. He's like, no, love, I did this in a lifetime. It took me a lifetime to do this, right?
Yeah.
So there's that mindset. The second one is also like, what is it? Jay-Z says, motherfucker saying they made Hove. I said, okay, so make another Hove, right? Like very much like, oh yeah, you think you can do this? Yeah, by all means, like I challenge you to do that.
Well, so. you know my story. Another time, Ryan Doherty in the stand-up comedy. You know that story, right? So do you know Ryan Doherty?
I don't.
One of the Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan, one of the sweetest guys, one of the coolest guys.
Shout out to Ryan.
We're playing frisbee golf one afternoon, and he had just turned 45, and he said, "Hey, I did a list when I was 20 of 20 things I wanted to accomplish by the time I was 45." And I said, "Really? Did you get them all done?" He goes, "All of them but one." And I said, "What was the one?" He said, "I wanted to perform stand-up comedy in front of a real live audience."
You did tell us. You did. And then he opened your show.
He's opened for me 3 times.
Yeah, he opened your show. You did tell us that.
I want to fuck Sharon Stone.
But it's one of those things where sometimes, I mean, had I don't want to, it's not up to me, but had I not told Ryan, okay, you're doing it, he'd still be talking about it.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I've turned down the Stanley show for 3 years.
Yeah.
And because I didn't feel like I could do it. I didn't feel like my show was good enough to do it.
That's
and that's kind of where we're like,
where I'm at right now.
We're definitely at that as a company where people are approaching us with gigs, and we're like, I don't know if I can do this show. Like, I want the money, obviously, but also like I want to challenge myself, but I don't want to make it difficult for us to pull off.
2019, I did a bunch of corporate shows. The one that you saw, the terrible one.
Because you played guitar, right?
Yeah, I opened up for him.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but and I think
follow me, baby.
I think we've talked about this, and I hope you got paid as well as I did.
Nope, definitely did not.
Because I called.
I didn't have a comma in my shit.
I called a couple buddies because I had 3 oil companies hit me up for corporate parties, and I did 3 between November, like between Thanksgiving and New Year's. I did 3 oil company corporate parties, and I'd never done anything at that scope before. So I called some buddies that had do those level shows.
This story is what made me change my mindset, by the way.
And I said, I don't know how to bid these. And a buddy of mine, Greg Tobo out of Boulder, who does high end corporate shows, said, do not do it for less than $2,500 an hour. Yeah. And my imposter syndrome hit hard. Yeah. And I said, there is no way anybody's going to pay me that much money.
It's funny you say that because I had the same conversation with this piece of shit over here.
Jesus fucking Christ, bro.
You were a piece of shit like 3 years ago when you were bidding gigs. He's like, yeah, I'll play 3 hours for $200. I'm like, no, bro. $300 an hour.
It took me a lot to figure that out.
Yeah.
But also, I think Paul really had a lot to do with it. But
I'm glad Paul had a lot to do with it for 2 people to convince you to not be shitty.
Chris, Paul has white hair, so he's wise as fuck, okay?
That's very true. Yeah. Paul is Gandalf the White right now.
he's Gandalf the fucking mad magician gray, bro. Anyways.
So the end of that story is I sent him a bid at $1,500 an hour. And I thought, there's no way they're going to say yes to this. This is out. I mean, I was booking shows at $300 an hour at that time.
Yeah.
And the woman calls me within 5 minutes of getting my email. She said, "Oh my God, I thought you'd be a lot more than that."
Yeah, that's the worst.
The hardest thing is knowing your worth because your worth is your own, like your own self-esteem, right?
The next request for a bid I bid at $2,500 an hour, and they got me for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
And that's the thing.
And it's one of those things where I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
I think the hardest thing is that we don't. I think for me, what it was, and I hate to say it this way, there's people that have the means to do it who want it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because everybody wants it. I will still be the kind of guy who will definitely do a show for free or for like low rate if it's for a good cause or for people that I really
donate
care about.
3 a year. That's my rule. I donate 3 a year, 3 shows a year.
And that's the thing is like sometimes you just want to do it because you want people who can't afford it to see it. And that's my thing is I never want to be big enough where people can't afford to see me. That's my biggest thing. But there is a lot of people, a lot of corporate entities, a lot of events that are just like, we just need live music. I'm like, yeah, this is my charges. And they're like, oh, that's it? I'm like, fuck you. Like, God damn it. Right?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, you know what? We should definitely
move on.
All right.
Anyways,
thank you guys
so much. If you guys like the conversation, make sure you guys check out DVD Extras. We'll be having it. We'll continue the conversation as well. And there'll be more whiskey for sure.
Yeah, check me out at the Mystery Collection on the Facebook, the Instagram, and mysterycollection.com.
Get fucking tickets to a show, you guys. It's going to be amazing.
The Stanley shows will sell out. No doubt they'll sell out. And
also, huge shout out for the Atlas show, by the way, which we'll talk about the DVD Extras because I want to hear your story on that. So thank you guys again so much. Make sure you guys check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify,
etc.
Yes, you know where it's at.
You know where it's at.
Thank you guys again so much. Tell your friends. Cute shout out to Dakota. We'll see you soon.
Oh, you slipped that in at the very end, you cheeky little bastard.
I want to make sure he's listening.
Thanks, Dakota.
Peace.